Hi all, welcome back to my channel. It's Solist Ronald Onyango. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you've had a good weekend and back in a new week. Today, I want to talk about a subject which I have been dealing with something today for my client, and I thought it's a good moment to bring it to your attention. This subject relates to the issue of domestic violence, where a spouse has perhaps uh, been abused in a relationship, and it can affect both male or female, and consequences of that, and what can happen. The person I was dealing with, of course, they were victim of domestic violence, which can happen to anybody who is a migrant in the country. Unfortunately, they did not take the steps uh, to preserve their position by notifying the relevant authority, speaking to their GP or various experts who could have documented the abuse and which would have been useful in terms of us being able to assist them to get indefinite leave to remain. Now, I thought it would be useful to just make you aware of some of the steps which one can take. If you find yourself in a situation whereby you are here as a spouse of a settled person or a British citizen and a spouse visa, and perhaps you're suffering domestic abuse, and this is actually a male person I was dealing with. So just to let you aware that this can happen both ways, both for the females and for the males, and the repercussions are the same. And I just want to make you aware that there are things that can be done to safeguard the interests of the vulnerable person, who's actually the person who's a migrant, who relies on the sponsor to get settled here. And sometimes that can be abused. There are instances where we know that the sponsor has abused their position and sort of taken advantage of the fact that the migrant requires their support to get indefinite leave to remain or settlement. The issue I want to bring up is about domestic violence and the family-based visa. The four things I want to talk about, which may be useful for anybody who finds himself in that position, just be aware about. And of course, it's always advisable to seek counsel in advance. Firstly, who is this suited for? Then secondly, I'm going to look at what are the eligibility criteria. Then I'll look at thirdly, who can apply for indefinite leave to remain or settlement if they're suffering domestic violence or abuse. And lastly, I'll just give a few examples of domestic violence or abuse. So firstly, who is this suited for? This particular visa is for anybody who's applying for indefinite leave to remain as a victim of domestic violence. If and for you to do that, you must be related to any of the following: either you have a relation with a British citizen person, or with someone settled in the UK, or someone in the UK with limited leave, either as a refugee or granted humanitarian protection, or is a member of UK Armed Forces who has served for at least a minimum of 4 years. So that is the starting point. Then they go to the next tier to be considered is what are the eligibility criteria. The person must be in a relation that's classed as a qualifying relationship with the person. That is, it can either be a partner of the person, or it can be a parent of the person, or a child of a person with limited leave, an adult dependent, or a victim of a domestic violence. So once that is met, then we go to the third ambit, which is who can actually apply for ILR or the settlement. This is a person who is living in the UK either as a spouse of the perpetrator, or a civil partner or an unmarried partner of a British citizen or a person settled in the UK. And more importantly, that your relationship has broken down recently, permanently, as a result of domestic violence. I repeat, it's recently, broken down, and permanently due to the domestic violence. Yeah, so once those are met, then we can look at them. Now I'll just give you the final tier, which is tier 4. What are some of the examples of things which can be considered as domestic violence or abuse? There could be emotional abuse, it could be psychological abuse, it could be sexual abuse, it could be physical abuse, it could be financial abuse. And that includes things like threatening behavior, controlling behavior, and trying to harm the other party, and also isolating them, for instance, from the family and things like that, and also trying to frighten them, for instance, saying, I'm going to report you to the Home Office, I'm going to report you to this, I'm going to get you deported. So this applies to an example, somebody that I have recently dealt with. So if any of this is happening to you, then I think it's important to know that there is help there. All you need is to make sure you approach the right authority in good time and get some counsel. Unfortunately, the person I was dealing with had never reported this anywhere. It was very difficult to try and create how we can be able to document the evidence. If unsure, speak to a responsible person or a legal advisor to counsel you properly. If you have any of this happening to you, I'm more than happy to guide you in the right place. It's always better to deal with these issues at the time when they're happening, so that at least we can guide you on what evidence to keep in place, so that when it comes to applying for ILR for yourself, we have all the relevant information. I hope this is useful. If you like this, please like and share and follow us on TikTok. And also, I'll be putting this in my YouTube. Please click the YouTube, which is on my bio page. You can see more details about this. Thank you very much.